Hello everybody, thank you for tuning in. I am Akshat, today in conversation with Dr. Jayaprakash Narayan, a founder and General Secretary. So the Telangana government has recently announced the schedule for the local body elections in the state. It will be held over 5 phases in late October and early November. The reason, sir, this announcement makes so much noise also is because it's the first local body elections in the state after the government, through a government order, announced 42% reservation for the backward caste in urban local body and rural local body elections. So, sir, your take on this?
First of all, Akshat, this applies to almost all the parties and all governments in the country except Kerala. They have no concern for local governments. Every single party outside Kerala, every single government did whatever they could to postpone local elections time and again in the past 30 years. So all this is much ado about nothing. Second, even when the elections are held, they never empowered them. They made them ciphers. They made them inconsequential. And for namesake, there is a body, but with zero powers, zero resources, all control is the local legislator or the government officials appointed by the chief minister. Yeah. Even in big cities like Hyderabad, the poor mayor, whoever it is, only has a ceremonial dress to wear whenever the prime minister or president comes. Beyond that, there is zero relevance. Yeah. We made them inconsequential. With great fanfare, we conduct elections. So in that backdrop, this whole reservation business is a red herring. A pretension that we're doing something. Now let's go into the reservation issue. After that, we can discuss local government's issue. The constitutional foundation is equality before law, irrespective of caste, region, religion, gender, language. All Indians, in matters of public employment, in matters of representation, in matters of everything, will be treated as equal. That is a constitutional right, a fundamental right. But because of the unique circumstances of India, because caste is real for centuries, therefore discrimination by birth, inequality by birth in society has become endemic in our society, reservation was accorded. But the foundational principle is equality before law. The exception, because of unique set of circumstances, is reservation. Yeah. Reservation cannot swallow the foundation. The exception cannot swallow the fundamental rule. So Supreme Court had to reconcile the fundamental rule, the foundation of equality before law, and the need in the unique Indian circumstances to give a special concession to certain segments of society which suffered discrimination. They harmonized. Finally, whatever you answer is an arbitrary answer. They said 50% reservation. That's the cap. India probably has the highest reservation in the world in that sense, among all large democracies in G20 countries, highest quota. Society accepted it, political parties came together unanimously, there's impressive consensus, and by and large, everybody is agreeable to that. Now, Telangana government is trying to go beyond that. From time to time, governments want to go beyond that. Insofar as education and employment are concerned, I think Supreme Court's order is non-violable, inviolable. But about representation, probably there is some grey area. Yeah. Let us see what the courts say. In all likelihood, the courts will not agree with that. That's why the newspaper reports say that the government and the political party running the government, the Congress party, are prepared to provide space in the party without having to wait for a statute reservation. That means they know. Yeah. So it's more a tamasha. It's more to make a political statement, not any serious intent. Now, even if reservation is given, whatever the reservation Supreme Court decides, reserving a constituency is not a very good idea. Whether it's for women or scheduled castes or backward classes. Scheduled tribes may be okay because they generally are in scheduled areas. Almost all population is only tribal population. Whereas here, what's happening? Namesake, there's a reservation. Oftentimes, reservation is arbitrary. There are many cases reported. I know for a fact, I have seen them very closely. There are several mandals of municipalities where there's almost no voter belonging to that category, but you still reserve it for a certain category. BC, SC, ST, male, women. So there are so many, it's not a simple, straightforward reservation, so many complexities. So without the people being there, you may have to reserve it. Even if one or two people are there, you have to necessarily elect them and nobody else, because the law says only that person can be elected. But they will not have a majority in the council. So they can't govern. They can't do anything. So reservation became a mockery. The second problem is, reservation means, because in a democracy you cannot permanently reserve to spread out communities, small groups, only 15% may be BCs in that village. You reserve it. In perpetuity, if you say only BC, society will not accept it. It's not fair also in a democracy. So rotation becomes inevitable. What happens as a result? Even if a person, a woman or a person from a certain group actually establishes leadership, does a great job, next time around in rotation, she or he will not get a chance to contest. So you're killing leadership. Politics is about nurturing and promoting good leadership, not killing leadership and making it arbitrary. So the purpose is defeated. Empowerment of these communities actually is weakened, not strengthened. There's a third problem. Because the dominant members will not want to lose power, but the law says you must only reserve it for a certain community or for a woman or something. They hold the real power behind the scenes. Notionally, on paper, somebody else is occupying that office. That's why the concept of Panchpatis came, with women's reservation. In many cases, the sarpanch is a woman officially, but in reality, I have seen so many times in the dais, etc., the sarpanch, somebody will act as a sarpanch. When I ask them who is the sarpanch, oftentimes the husband is somewhat nonplussed. They're embarrassed. Then somebody says so and so is the sarpanch. He is the husband or something. So this proxy leadership, in reality, there is no empowerment. This is not the best way to empower. Instead, supposing you force the political parties by law to mandatorily nominate X number of candidates as per the proportion that you want to give to whichever community, from that community in the totality of the jurisdictions, not in one place. Supposing there are 100 villages. Out of the 100, if let's say 30 are to be given to, let's say, backward classes, they can choose which 30 they want, but 30 they shall nominate. Now they'll have an incentive now to nurture leadership. They will take the political realities into account, the availability of leadership pool into account. They will nominate competent people. The contest will be between competent people. And you don't have to vacate seats. There will not be any proxy leadership. And it's not a notional power, it's real power. So there are ways of elegant addressing. But in India, when there's an elegant option and an inelegant option, we almost always unerringly seem to go for the inelegant, unworkable, impractical, failed option. So, and after all this, let's assume that reservations are done very well. Power is about empowerment. Local governments are emasculated. Except in Kerala, they're irrelevant in the country. And expenditure in states like Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, even in local governments, is reaching the skies. A back-of-the-envelope calculation shows just for the sarpanch selection in an assembly constituency, typically there will be about 100, 120 villages, let's say. Assuming 10 lakh rupees is spent by each major candidate, assuming there are only 2 major candidates, you are looking at 25 to 30 crore rupees only for sarpanch election. Only for sarpanch election. Actually, this is an understatement. In many cases, I have known villages where 50 lakhs, 1 crore is spent. I have known one case even 15, 20 years ago where 5 crore 18 lakhs was spent. It was a big village, but still a village. But even assuming only 10 lakh rupees per candidate on average, you're looking at 25 crores. That's only for sarpanches. Then you have MPTC, Mandal member. Then Jilla Parishad member. Each is a separate entity. They will be twice as burdensome. So together, because the stakes now are Mandal leadership and district leadership. And the states, that means each constituency you are spending 25 crores for sarpanches, 25 crores for Mandal, 25 crores for 75 crores. They don't even have 75 crores money to spend. Once all this election takes place, they have near zero powers. All power is exercised either by the MLA or by the officers appointed by the government. Even a Zilla Parishad chairman, even a mayor of a city like Hyderabad has zero power. They can only wear some fancy robes when a president or prime minister comes for ceremonial purposes. There's no real power. You ask them privately, everybody will tell you We don't even know why we contested. We don't even know why we spent this kind of money. We are a namesake in this position. We have no role at all. And then because they spent money, they go after people, harassing them for some kind of monthly collections. You are building a structure, they'll immediately come and say, give me money.
Yeah.
There is some approval of some building plan or something, they say, give me money. So you entrench the terrible system. So all this talk is divorced from realities. We're pretending as if there's something going on. There's no local governance structure. We have the weakest empowerment of local governments in the world. We have the most centralized governments, and centralization is not at the national level, at the state level. It's all at the state level under the chief minister's level. Local governments are irrelevant except in Kerala.
So all these problems that you mentioned, they're perhaps the symptoms of a deeper underlying issue. So could you maybe explain how that works?
See, our founding fathers, with great faith in the future, in a desperately poor and largely illiterate country. Even today, most people are really illiterate. We pretend there is literacy, but actual literacy and numeracy no more than 25-30%. Umpteen number of surveys of the government's own surveys of National Achievement Survey, ASSA survey, they all reveal, even at the age of 16 and 17, minimum level of literacy is not available to 80-90% of the kids. Imagine what happened in 1947-50. There was practically no literacy except for a small segment of population and abject poverty. And yet our leaders, in great exhibition of faith and a sense of humanism or idealism, they decided that India should be the first country until that time to embrace universal adult franchise without reference to education, wealth, caste, region, religion, gender, language, and gender. A very daring experiment, unprecedented. And we gave ourselves the right to vote, the political freedoms, and both we exercise with gusto. People nowhere in the world celebrate voting more than in India. I mean, the kind of celebration, the kind of tamasha, noise, and bustle and hustle, festive atmosphere in elections is incredible in this country. And even the poorest go and vote with great gusto. And two, we exercise freedoms to the point that everybody challenges a minister, chief minister, MLA, MP. We use the most uncouth language, we abuse each other, shout at each other. At the drop of a hat, we hold demonstrations, rasta rokos, political freedoms. They are necessary, but they don't alone constitute democracy. Democracy is when the citizens understand what is at stake, when the voter realizes what is happening through her vote, when the taxpayer understands where the tax money is going, when we know who is in charge of what, and if something goes right, who deserves the credit, something goes wrong, who deserves the blame, responsibility and accountability. All these three, taxes, where it is going, vote and consequences, authority and responsibility, they are completely fused only in local governments. Because in national government, what do you know? Even I don't know. National defense, kya ho raha hai? I don't know. National highway, kahin ban raha hai? I don't know much about it. State, what do I know about this policy, that policy? I don't know. But I know my village. I know my town. I know my mohalla. I know my street. I know my water supply. I know my park. I know the road which is terrible. A bit of rainfall and you have potholes.
Yeah.
Somebody estimated some 30,000 potholes in Hyderabad city. Maybe more, I don't know. Third-rate contracting. Substandard works done. Traffic, every day you and I face. These are real problems. Everybody understands. It doesn't require somebody like you, university educated, somebody like me with a lifelong experience. Anybody understands. These are day-to-day problems. If locally empowerment is there, if your vote makes a change possible, if your tax money goes at least a substantial part of it to address that, then I understand what is the vote. I understand what is tax money. That is schooling in democracy. That also makes things happen because I care. It brings accountability. System works. If somebody doesn't do a good job, everybody knows what is wrong. So you holler, you protest, you hold them to account. True democracy is only in local governments. The rest is only derivative. It is not true democracy. It's a myth. Without understanding that, in India we completely decimated local governments. initially for good reason. Dr. Ambedkar was quite understandably concerned that in a caste-ridden system, the upper dominant castes, which were holding all levers of power in society, they will continue to dominate democratic institutions at the local level. It was a very legitimate fear. The answer was in enlarging constituencies. Instead of a traditional village becoming a unit, supposing you create a bigger unit, 5-10 villages. What is happening in assembly constituency? Is there no caste in India? There is caste. But it's not making that much impact in assembly and Lok Sabha. Why? You have to carry all castes together. There is no traditional sanction like in a village. And if somebody claims that privilege because of birth, the whole rest of the society stands up and protest. That's what we're doing every day, right? It's happening. So a larger constituency is the answer, not denying democracy. And foolishly, we denied democracy locally. And therefore, state governments, which were initially weak, became strong over a period of time, particularly after economic liberalization. Most power is now in Delhi, in the states, not in Delhi. 65% of the total public expenditure in the country, government expenditure, is in the states. We are not stating that to the public, we are lying to them. The real money is now with the states. Real power is with the states. The destiny, the future of the state is now in the hands of the chief minister. Decisively. It was not the case 30, 40 years ago. Even when a man like NTR became chief minister or NGR, the states didn't have enough role. Today that's no longer true. China, which is a dictatorial country, they don't even pretend to be democracy, right? China has much stronger local governments than India can even dream of. More than 50% of the total money spent is by the local governments at the local level. In India, 3%. China, highest in the world, local governments. India, lowest in the world, local governments. Indian states, highest in the world, 65%. No states in any federal country, states spend 65% of the total money. America is about 20%. So we created a very skewed system. So elections are there with gusto. People vote, but vote has no meaning. As a result, what happens? Money. I'm poor country, nothing is happening anyway. Not that if I get money, I will definitely vote for you. If I get money from you, I will consider you as a serious candidate. Then I will decide to vote for you or somebody else. But if I don't get money from you, you are not a candidate, you are out. You have zero chance. That is the system we have evolved. That's why there's so much money that's spent in elections, local or state or national. That's not enough. So, without focusing on what the government should be doing, roads, traffic, education, healthcare, economic growth, investments, incomes, jobs, no. Short-term welfare, freebies. Everything is about that. Let the future be doomed. Even if there's no money available, borrow. Impose the burden on the next generation, young people, or the future taxpayers. Ruin their lives. But I'm in power now. That's all that matters. So, short-term freebies. Every state we see. And Telangana, Andhra Pradesh are masters of that. They are now the leaders in India in welfare. At the cost of growth. Some welfare is required. The third is, if even those do not work, we divide society on caste. Because India has so many castes, regions, religions, languages. We polarize society. We make people insane, lose their sanity, their balance, become very emotional vote. These three are currencies of our elections. I challenge anybody in Telangana or Andhra Pradesh or Karnataka or Tamil Nadu that money distributed during elections, short-term freebies at the cost of long-term good, and caste, region, religion and emotional issues polarizing society. I challenge anybody to say that it's not true. Prove to me. So ultimately democracy is perverted. We have elections, we have with gusto everything happening, but everybody is dissatisfied, including those who are elected. Ask them privately. They all complain, I don't know, sir, what to do. So terrible. MLAs feel bad. MPs feel bad. Officers feel bad. People feel bad. There's nobody who's feeling good about it. So we have to look at this honestly instead of creating this tamasha and creating headlines every day. For organizations, institutions with zero power and zero money, see the newspaper headlines, Samaranik is Sai, ready for war. What war? Whose war? Where war? In a democracy. With zero power, zero money. And yet it's fought like a war. So an insanity has gripped our society and our politics.
So, do you think then an ideal local government which functions well efficiently, do you think it can be an arena where citizens can expect a return on their vote?
Absolutely. See, I always give a simple example. I live in an apartment. All of us pay monthly maintenance, X amount depending on the apartments. We all decide to pay. I know exactly why I pay that money. If the lift is not functioning well, my doctor is saying walk as much as you want, but no, after a certain age, don't climb up down stairs. I will not keep quiet, I'll holler. My mother cannot go without a lift. I will not keep quiet. I know exactly why I gave that money. The lift, the water supply, the parking there. All these things is not maintained. I know that I'm losing. Why am I paying money? I voted for you. I voted, so let's say Akshat is voted. I know why Akshat is there. If Akshat doesn't do it, I say, Akshat, bhai, kya ho raha hai? We put you there because you have to do these things. Why are you not doing it? So that's how democracy matures. And I know who is responsible. Even for me with so much experience, for you with so much education, you don't know exactly who is responsible for what in our country. We are confused all the time. You have to ask somebody, bhai, kya ho raha hai? Who is the person? Then I telephone to that fellow. We become beggars and mendicants. Whereas in local government, you know exactly who is responsible for what. If something wrong has happened, we know he is guilty. Something right is happening, we know he deserves credit. So local governments are schools for democracy. Without those schools for democracy, we are running a democracy of sorts. It is a democracy, but it's a very weak democracy, very flawed democracy. All the ills of our democracy, corruption, criminalization, inefficient services, unaccountable bureaucracy, tax money being wasted, future being destroyed for our children, all these stem from high degree of centralization, where people are not allowed to understand what is the meaning of the vote. It's the heart of democracy. American system works on local governments, not presidency. Donald Trump, others may get endless publicity, but ultimately the president doesn't matter to the country. It's the mayor that matters. It's the county that matters. Everything is about that. In China, most things are at the county level, not Xi Jinping. Only in India, everything is chief minister, chief minister, chief minister. That's just not right.
So, but you said that 30, 40 years ago, that was probably not the case in India also. So, why did we reach this state?
Great question. No, initially we did not have local governments. As I said, Dr. Ambedkar and others were worried. They didn't find a sensible solution. But 1958-59 onwards, with Balwant Rai Mehta committee, some of the states started introducing local governments. Rajasthan started first, Andhra Pradesh was next. I was a product of those local government schools. In my village, I'm talking about 1960s, 60 to 69, I think I was at school in my village. The local leadership did a remarkable job, not only in that village, everywhere. Education, to the extent possible healthcare, local infrastructure, electricity, water supply, encouraging us to do the right things in society, encouraging people to be thrifty and to contribute to the common good. So many wonderful things happened. Millions of young people, they flourished despite coming from villages in those days of backwardness and poverty. Because local governments did a fabulous job. That lasted only for 10-15 years, from 1958-59 to early 70s. And not every state, but several states. Probably the leaders at the time were Gujarat and Maharashtra. They were the best local governments, and Kerala to some extent. Andhra Pradesh was pretty good in some parts. By mid-70s, India became a very highly centralized democracy, even at the national level. Remember? Emergency, Indira Gandhi, Indira is India. So even states became less relevant than they were earlier. Always states were weak initially. They became even less relevant. They became like municipalities of the Prime Minister. They can do pretty much what they want. Tomorrow I want the Chief Minister to go. Just a phone call. Chief Minister will go if your party. Most states are their party. Some other party like NTR dismissed using some governor or some other toady. Absolutely immorally, unconstitutionally. And you require 10 lakh rupees for a program, you have to go to Delhi as an officer to attend a meeting. This was shameful. You want to start a small enterprise with your own money, risking your future, you have to take a permit from Delhi, a license from Delhi. A disgraceful situation, economically, politically, was created. In the backdrop, even the local governments of functioning were destroyed. Either they were all dismissed or they were never allowed to re-elected again. The elections were never conducted. The emergency, even the country became a unitary country.
Yeah.
Post-emergency, it never came back. Though some efforts were made by Mr. Anjaya and then N.T. Ramarao and then Karnataka, Ramakrishna Hegde. So 1 or 2 efforts were made in some places. Then came the constitutional amendment, well-meaning. We were all happy initially. 1993-94, after a hiatus of 20 years, early 70s to mid-90s, 20 years we lost. We thought at least now there's a constitutional footing. We did a terrible job. Instead of creating guaranteed, empowered, constitutionally mandated local governments with self-governing powers and resources, we created a vast and complex and useless structure unrelated to the state's experience and their needs. And we gave them zero powers and zero money. Overstructured, underpowered. At least in the earlier era, because states could decide what kind of local governments they have, each government in its vision, each political party decided how to shape them. There was a consensus. For instance, in many states, including our own state of Andhra Pradesh at the time, combined state of Andhra Pradesh, the village sarpanch elected automatically was a member of the intermediate panchayat, what we call the block or panchayat samiti. And one among them is elected as a panchayat samiti president. And the panchayat samiti president automatically was a member of the Jilla Parishad Council. And one among them became Jilla Parishad chairman. So there was an organic link. And each tier led to another tier. Leadership rose. You were respected here, did a good job, credible, you became leader next level. Did well, became leader next level. What did the constitutional amendment say? They separated all these three, delinked them. Sarpanch and village council is different. Sarpanch has nothing to do with the mandal. Mandal member is separate, like assembly member is chosen. Mandal president is separate. Mandal has nothing to do with district. District member is different. District president is different. So structure is bad, over-designed, functioning is zero. Exactly opposite. Structure should have been left to states. The constitutions are clearly stated, just like states and the union. There are clearly defined powers and functions. They must function as units of local government. That's mandatory. But states can decide the form. That's the way it should be. That's what Germany said. German basic law contains just 53 words. If you take out the provisions relating to European citizens, only 35 or so words about local governments, but they're really strong and empowered. We have 7,700 words. 7,000, more than 200 times the German constitution about local governments, but zero empowerment. In the earlier era, we had 28 powerful chief ministers who came from local governments because of local governments. Our own Jalaga Mengal Rao. In my judgment, the best chief minister Andhra Pradesh ever had. He was not even well educated in a formal sense. He did not even finish school. He was a very competent sarpanch. Therefore, he became a very competent Samiti president. He became a competent Jilla Parishad chairman. Then he rose to state level politics, became a competent legislator and minister. He became a very effective, the best chief minister of our state. Like that, there were 28 chief ministers who came from local governments. Post 1993-94, only Devendra Fadnavis had experience in local governments. No other chief minister came from local governments. 30 years. Earlier only 15 years experience, but 28 chief ministers they could produce. Now 30 years experience with the constitution, zero. Proof of the pudding is in the eating. Our local governments are a joke. They're a disaster.
So just before we end, in the absence of empowered local governments, do you think the political party's own machinery becomes a very important component of governance?
That's what's happening because local government is not there to deliver. The MLA and the political machine has taken over. So I want a birth certificate, you go to a party worker. I want a water supply connection, you go to MLA. My water is not coming today, you telephone to the MLA or his cronies. MLA's complaints are everything they're complaining to me. It's not my job, but they are the ones who created the condition because they feel local governments are a threat to them. Therefore, they don't ever allow them to be empowered. Not a leaf stirs in the assembly constituency without MLA Sahab's hukum. Police cases, land, water supply, identifying beneficiaries of welfare programs, a road, a contract, a tender, anything. Any employee posted in local government or state government, in local revenue department or municipality or Panchayats or whatever is the department, MLA is the boss, uncrowned king of the constituency, disguised executive, law ever gives him the power. We created a perverted system. Everybody is unhappy. You ask privately MLAs, they're deeply unhappy, but they feel trapped. You ask the ministers, they're deeply unhappy. You ask the officials, they're deeply unhappy. You ask the people, of course, they're the most unhappy people. It requires genius to make everybody unhappy and yet persevere with the system. So we have to wake up. The whole world has a certain democratic management style. And we have to adapt it to our conditions. But without local democracy, there is no democracy. Democracy is real only locally. The rest of the democracy is notional.
All right, sir. Thank you for this. This has been very enriching. And with this, we've come to the end of this interview. Thank you.